New Orleans in November, and then I'll be off in December, and then back to Florida in January.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's
All right, everybody, I believe 6 o'clock has arrived here. I would like to call to order with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, public discussions of the items to be voted upon only, agenda items. Are there any public discussions regarding agenda items at this time? If not,
You want to go first? So,
please state your name.
sure. Kathy Lodge, Lodge. So, just wanted to do this. I made thumb drives because it came to my attention that perhaps you did not read the full Tetra Tech application that they have submitted, that Range has submitted, which shows at the DEP what their project is, the full proposal. And I know you may have made your decision up, but I think take it home and consider it. It's very large. It's 750 pages, and it's very important to read it because that shows you. If you want this, that shows you what Range is proposing to build in Mount Pleasant Township. And after I've looked at the records, I'm not an attorney, but what they've come to the state to ask permission to build is different than what they've come to the township to ask permission to build. They've flavored it differently, telling the state what it is, what their intention is. At the township level, they made it sound a whole lot more benign than it actually truly is. So I encourage you that if you're going to make a decision for this community for the next 30, 60 years, that you should read what the full proposal is instead of maybe just cliff notes or just, a summary. That's the details. I've read it. You guys should read it, especially when you're making such an important decision for Mount Pleasant Township. The second thing I wanted to bring up was, again, I just wanted to reiterate that the MPC tells you all that you have the ability to vote yes as an approval, vote yes as an approval with conditions, or deny. You have that ability. So whatever you're being guided to decide, it is not a permitted with use because it's permitted. No, it is. You can make a denial. The MPC does allow for that. That's why you have conditional use, so that you can decide if it's an approval, go ahead, an approval with conditions, or a denial because this isn't appropriate in this location. Remember, Act 13 decision gives you the right to say where. The DEP decides how they do the activity. And this was kind of hard to decipher with a one and done meeting that you guys had instead of an actual hearing, that the MPC says you have a right to have, even your own ordinances say you have a right to have over consecutive, or not consecutive, but over subsequent nights, not just a 1 hour that you've only allotted on May 28th to hear everything. And that's, I've said my piece. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, Tom, hold on one second.
Hi, good evening, gentlemen. As you know, I'm Lisa Johnson. I represent Christopher Loft, George Kazmersky, Mark Wolf, Anita Steigerwald, Hugh Staub, Kimberly Staub, Daniel France, Cynthia Baker, Rosalie Solinsky, Paul Solinsky, Wayne Roth, and Patricia Roth. So, as you may know, currently before the Washington County Court of Common Pleas in front of Judge Lucas was an appeal that we filed with respect to the proceedings that were held on May 28th. Our argument is that the meeting that you held did not comply with the municipality's planning code and provide the public with an actual hearing, the right to review evidence, the right to cross-examine witnesses. So as a courtesy, we have brought the board a copy of that appeal. I know hard copies are, expensive. So as a courtesy, We printed out a copy of that appeal, and we'll circulate those at the
The
end.
township has a copy of that.
Okay, so with
It's in our
respect,
possession. We've communicated about it today.
okay, so with respect to the proceeding tonight, in the event that you do approve the use, we would ask that you stay Range's commencement of the use of the tank pad until our appeal is determined by Judge Lucas. I think the risk to the residents, the harm to the residents between the truck traffic and the air emissions that are going to come from the tank pad, I think it's worth waiting until Judge Lucas makes a decision on the May 28th proceeding in the first instance as to whether or not these people got a fair hearing. So if you do approve it, we would ask that you impose a stay until that appeal is determined and adjudicated by Judge Lucas. Thank you.
Any other?
I'm not really sure we have the right to, this says a discussion, so I don't know if we could ask Range or not, if it's only wastewater or if it's contaminated water also that they call wastewater, or if it's just fresh water for the, I know Mr. McDermott said we weren't really allowed to ask questions or say anything before, but since they're here, we're allowed to ask that.
I did not say that. This is public comment. You're allowed to make any public comment. You may pose questions. Folks don't have to answer them during public comment. And particularly here, not just general legislation, when you have a pending decision that they're about to issue after deliberating and the quasi-judicial capacity they're in, they're not able to comment at this time.
Okay.
You may pose questions if
Usually it says public comment. It says
that's actually
Public discussion.
yeah, apologies.
So
That's better worded as comment. This is the public comment period.
Okay, I didn't know if we were allowed to discuss with Range anything or, any more evidence we had at this point.
But not evidence for the purpose of this decision. That was at the time of the hearing.
Thank you, Mr. McDermott. So with respect to the question about the composition of the water, I'd like to make this comment, that the wastewater that will be stored in the tank pads is generated from hydraulic fracturing operations. The Range will be taking fresh water from any number of sources. They'll be adding their chemicals. They'll be hydraulically fracturing a well, where they then bring up radioactive materials. So the wastewater that they're proposing for the tank pad is not fresh water. It is not brine. Brine is salt water. This is oil and gas wastewater that has mixed hazardous waste, radioactive elements, and more than likely trade secret and proprietary chemicals, and that's what they want to store on the tank pad.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Mark Baker, 134 Baker Road, McDonald. I just want to point out, this is really a big ask that Range is doing here. It's a 116-acre site that the lease is on. So over the next 10 years, how big can that get? Nobody knows, and they say their plans are just anticipated for 25 and 27, but they didn't ask for a 10-year plan for no reason at all. This could really explode up there on a township road next to a school in an agricultural zone. So I think that's just a really big ask. Now, there's some inaccuracies. They piggybacked this proposal off of what they've done in the past. And in the past, they have a traffic study in the book here that I read at the township. This is nothing new. They say the trucks can make all the bends without a problem, not impede on the other lane or anything. But they describe the trucks in the report as a 30-foot long truck. I stopped one, I measured it, they're 40-foot long. 40-foot long truck doesn't make the bend. Okay? Once in a while they do with a good driver, but when you have literally 77,760 trucks, because they got to go both ways, going through that intersection, and I don't know who was down there last year, but they had to see the ditches on the edge of the road right next to the creek and all that. And they do pull into the other lane. There's no doubt about that. As far as, again, the traffic study, the count is way wrong. It was done in October of 2020. That's where the data came from PennDOT, which was during COVID. So we know that is wrong. My traffic count that I put on Baker Road is 349 cars per day over a 4-week period. And that's during the summer when there's no school, there's no activities, it's a slow time of summer, there's nothing going on. And that was 349, and the thing they estimated as 200. And then how many cars are going to be going down through there when you have 349 plus the school traffic, plus thousands of trucks, plus the personnel that's gonna be going to the well site to frack the next well and all that. Just seems overwhelming. And how far is this processing plant gonna go? We keep saying reuse water and tank pad, but when you look at the reports and the permits they have, it's a wastewater and processing facility, like Lisa said. It's not just a tank pad. Okay, that's kind of a way of describing it that's really not up to par. And this is a 5-acre radius, and I had a map on it, I couldn't find it tonight. The 5-acre radius covers 50,560 acres, right around that. Goes into North Fayette, which are having trouble over the North Fayette. So are they going to frack North Fayette's wells from Mount Pleasant Township? How far can they go? Ballinger, Sturgeon, North Fayette. I mean, you look at a 5-mile radius, it's big, okay? I did ask him last time, and nobody knows, but she did say we get impact money from neighboring townships. I don't imagine it's a large amount. I don't know if they have that information tonight.
Mr. Baker, I don't want to cut you off, but this is all stuff that we've already heard in your testimony
But
and
they're
your
here now.
report.
Now, the couple things you haven't heard, the 40-foot trucks you haven't heard, and the scanning of the trucks. The scanning of the trucks on the tank pad on the map they have in the book. They scan the trucks on the way in according to their map. They don't scan them on the way out. If they're taking water from Cecil and bringing it back to this tank pad, they should be scanning them on the way out, and hopefully they're scanned them before they get there. That's all something to think about, because this is a big deal, and then once they get their foot in the door, it's never going to end.
Thank you. Anybody else? Mr. Pond.
Hi, Greg Pond. I live on the corner of Southview Road and Baker Road. Just wanted to mention a few things. Range Resources, originally when they came on board and they told us what was going to happen many years ago for royalties and things like that, the person was in there talking to us specifically about the water and the fracking and all that, lied to our faces about the specifics of what was in that. That's concerning to me. I'm representing multiple families here. We have well water. We already have concerns about situations relating to that. Another thing relating to traffic is myself and my family's been involved in multiple occasions, near-miss traffic accidents already with the amount of vehicles that we've had with the trucks from Range Resources. I'm asking for you to deny Range Resources, and I'm asking you to consider money isn't everything. The integrity of this community is, and that's what's important. So that's all I had to add.
Thank you. Mr. Kazmarski?
Okay, not last year, from February 24 to August 24, they had that Yonkers pad taking on water. Hey Mark, it's not, last time it wasn't a 5-mile radius, okay? It was coming from Allegheny Township, Allegheny County, New Ken, Tarentum, Lower Burrell. It was coming from Beaver County, Hanover Township, Independence Township, Butler and Buffalo Township, and Clinton Township in Butler County.
You mean they're bringing water in from all those?
Yes. Okay, so it's not a 5-mile radius like they're asking for. And I don't know what the ask was this time, or the last ask was last time. If the last time was a 5-mile radius, they weren't living up to that. So I'm just letting you guys know. I mean, Washington County, Amwell Township, Lane Township, Hanover Township. I mean, the list goes on and on and on in Washington County. That's way more than a 5-mile radius, you know? And I know range guys are here tonight, men and women. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that, you know? But we're all here. We're the ones paying the taxes. We voted for you guys, and we, as a community, will stand behind you because we voted you in. Don't let them bully us. Okay? That's all it is.
Thank you. Anybody else? Mr. Happy?
Ronnie Happy, 342 Fort Cherry Road. My concern remains with radiation, you know that. I think there ought to be radiation monitored. You said that couldn't be done. I'm not asking. The other thing is traffic. I think we need, as residents, we need some kind of guarantee that we're gonna be able to get out of our driveways onto that road in the midst of these trucks. Whether it be they slow down and give us room, or they limit the number of trucks that come down, road. I just think it has to be done that way.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? Okay. All right, Madam Secretary, I ask you to call for a motion.
Call for a motion to conditionally approve the application of Range Resource Appalachia LLC, seeking conditional use approval pursuant to Township the zoning ordinance to use the Yonker George 11360 well pad on the property located at 94 Baker Road in the Township's A1 zoning district as a tank pad facility, subject to and conditioned upon applicant's acceptance of and strict compliance with all conditions of approval as set forth in Article 1, Article 2, Article 3, and Article 4 of the findings of fact, conclusions, and decision of the Board of Supervisors attached to this motion, and to be affixed to the minutes of this meeting. Failing which said application as submitted shall be considered as and thereby shall be denied.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion passed.
Shame on you.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Mr. McDermott, if you could give a summarize of the conditions.
Did we want to do that outside the meeting? Like, if we've adjourned,
We've adjourned, but you can talk about those conditions
Why did
in
you
the
do that
summary.
during the meeting though, Shane? For real?
So you already had the findings of fact and conclusions of law drafted before this meeting, is that what I'm hearing?
that's how the process works. They closed the hearing, they deliberated, they had 45 days to deliberate, issue a decision. They, as normally occurs, commission what they want the findings to be and conclusions and that, and then they vote on those after they have a chance to look at them and deliberate on those. Yes, that's how it is.
So, together with the fact that the May 28th hearing was completely unlawful, this decision is not valid because you didn't hold a proper hearing. So now you
Yes.
force residents who are not litigious